What's up, guys? Sumner Healey here. Welcome to another LIA member interview, hangout sesh, whatever you want to call these. Should be a really fun call here. We've got someone who's originally from California, but is actually running this business from Medellin, Colombia, one of my favorite cities that I've ever been to. Now, before we jump in and we intro our co-host for today, a couple things I want to go over. We released this a few months ago. You guys can get our purchase agreement for free. It's the same one that we use in our blind offer, same one Preston's probably using as well. The link's down there. It's landinvestor.co/PA. No strings attached. You guys can go grab that for free. And then depending on when you're watching this could change. We are recording this, I think it's April 9th today. We've got like 24 spots still left for Land Insight. So we released V2 about 2 weeks ago. Actually, yeah, almost exactly 2 weeks ago. We're like 60% of the way filled up or something along those lines. So if you guys want to go and register, you can go to that link down below. It's app.landinsights.co/register. Now, some people say, Sumner, there's a long page with all these questions I have to fill out. Why do I have to do this? Well, we want to make sure that you're actually the right fit for it. We get some submissions where people are like, hey, I'm brand new. I've never done a deal. I just don't think it makes sense to use a tool like that. So we want to get some questions. And then also we get feedback on who's our demographic, who are the folks that are actually using this. And what we've seen is it's usually people that are like, at least 6 months into land, they're doing at least a deal or two a month. They're typically doing over 10,000 mailers a month or some kind of marketing channel, typically mail, all the way up to folks that have been in it for 5+ years that are doing 100,000 touches a month. So usually that's kind of like the floor though. Anyways, let's jump into it. Preston, what's up, my man? Give them the quick elevator pitch. Who are you? Where are you tuning in from? Why do you live in Colombia? And how did you get into the land business?
Yeah. So, hey, everyone. My name's Preston. I'm originally from Orange County, California, born and raised there, went to school there. I lived there for basically the first 30 years of my life. And after college, I was in a kind of a weird position. So, martial arts is still a big part of my life right now, but I was actually training for my amateur MMA debut at the time.
Nice.
And a couple of things happened after college. So the first thing is I got badly injured. So that kind of put the brakes on that. And also I started a business at the time. It was an e-commerce business and it had some traction. So I was like, there are probably better things to do in my life than get kicked in the face for free or not a lot of money. So that was the end of that. So I did that for about 8 years, mainly selling FBA, Amazon FBA. And we stopped the business in 2020. I exited the business and I was like, for a couple of years, I was like, what am I going to do? It's just, I wasn't sure what was out there. And my wife and I, we took a couple of years traveling and doing the whole digital nomad thing. She runs another business and I had some little side businesses at the time. But I finally encountered this through actually a mutual friend. He was into wholesaling, and I was like, okay, that sounds interesting because in a way, this business and wholesaling, they're kind of like e-commerce. I mean, they're inventory based businesses, and you're arbitraging something somehow. Like I did a lot of closeout in my previous business, so I was like, hey, I have to try to talk with these people and try to get it at 0.5x, and I try to sell it at 0.8x or 1x or something like that. So there was some synchronicity there. And I found Sumner's content, and he's an incredible communicator. So it was extremely engaging. So I just dived into that. I was traveling, watching videos. I got into another education program as well. And then late last year, I decided to join his program. So here I am right now. I'm about 3 months in, but I've only been sending mail for like 2 months right now. So I'm still a beginner.
Yeah. You're at kind of a cool junction because I mean, usually it's about 3 to 4 months of consistently sending mail till you like really start seeing the fruits of your labor. You're 3 months in or so holistically. If we had this conversation a month from now, your life and the business is going to look a lot different. So I'm kind of excited to watch that take place. You're right on the precipice where things start to get crazy. In fact, you're probably already starting to see some of it. Leads coming in, reviewing deals, underwriting deals, talking to sellers, all that jazz. A couple of things I want to unpack there, though, dude. You'd like this. This Sunday, my friends and I were looking for things to do, so we went to the park and we like put little shoes down to build a ring, and it was 5 of us. We all just started fighting in the park, and it's so fun, dude. I think I'm actually gonna sign up for an MMA gym. It's been on my list for a while. I've wanted to learn how to fight. I don't know anything about it. So
Yeah.
humbling. We're doing 2-minute rounds, and I probably did like, I don't know, 6 rounds total, and it's just freaking gas, man. I'm still like, my lats are still sore from it. The other thing is on the FBA marks. I think we talked about this. One of my first businesses, I had a couple of different businesses in the FBA world: textbook, retail arbitrage. I was doing private label. Like, I had a whole bunch of different experiences there. And I think you're spot on. I literally think I think arbitrage businesses are the easiest place to start for any entrepreneur. They're not the most innovative, or not the most creative, not like providing the most value to the world. But if you're new and you want to find the fastest path to making money on your own, it's an arbitrage business. And all you got to do is find one pool of people that don't really value a thing, buy it from them, find another pool of people that value the thing, and then just connect the dots. It's that simple. And this is applicable to anything. I was talking to my girlfriend last night. We were on a walk. Have you ever heard of Buffalo Exchange?
That's the clothing store.
Your clothing store, right?
Yeah.
And that's so interesting. She goes in there, she drops off, I don't even remember how many things, dozens of things. They gave her $50. And we were trying to estimate how much is that worth to them. And I think at least 400, $500. Classic, same thing, arbitrage business. And we get a lot of folks in LIA or in land that started with reselling some other thing. I think it's so applicable. So this is just bigger dollars at stake. And I would say less competitive than FBA was. FBA was pretty cutthroat towards the end there. It got pretty intense.
It was. Yeah.
What were you doing? Was it all retail arbitrage? Were you doing private label? What was it exactly?
It was a bit of both, but
Okay.
the bulk of my business became retail arbitrage.
Okay.
So I had a few products that just did pretty well,
Yeah.
and I mean, the way I saw it, I was helping people because
Yeah.
some of these companies, they gotta get stuff off the books, and
Yeah.
if they don't like handling little returns and stuff like that, and selling it for a low profit, so they just give it to you. You just have to go out and look for these things.
Yeah. What was your edge? How were you finding this? Because that's always a hard, with any arbitrage business. I feel like it's the getting of the inventory that's like the real hard part, or the value maker. So how are you getting inventory?
Uh, you have to find. This is my opinion. You have to find something that where the market is just not very complex in terms of the sellers.
Mhm.
Like for example, um, in my business, the people who are selling these things, they were very mom and pop. Like,
Mhm.
think just older, more conservative people. Like, it was fishing and outdoor related.
Okay.
So these products, they didn't have the most sophisticated sellers, and to them, a 7-day fulfillment time or 5-day fulfillment time was great. Like, that's what they're doing because they're packing it up and in their shop and sending it out, and you get it in whatever. And when you come into a market like that and you offer 2-day fulfillment or 3-day fulfillment or something like that, even if they have to pay more for that, people, you're providing value to the market. Like, people, they want these things. Um, and whereas like a lot of people, they're like, oh, I'm going to sell something that's sexy,
Yeah.
like, and when you do that, like you're swimming with the sharks.
Yeah. 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 Sounds like land, dude. Mom and pop, not very sexy. A lot of parallels.
Yeah,
I've always been, and I promise this won't be an FBA conversation for those
sure.
watching, but I'm just
hmm
curious. I've always been fascinated by selling businesses. So when you sold the business, did someone approach you, or did you deliberately go and get a broker or list it somewhere?
Someone just approached me.
Okay. An offer
Yeah,
you couldn't refuse.
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
It wasn't a huge, awesome thing that just completely changed my life, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's entrepreneurship. Your previous wins, they set up a little runway
Yeah.
for your next thing
Yeah.
that you're doing.
Totally. I totally agree. And so why are you running this business from Medellin?
Well, we like living here.
Yeah.
So we came. So my business ended, and we traveled for a bit, and we're like, it was 2021, so people were not letting Americans in anywhere
Mhm.
except here. So so that made it easy for us. We decided to come here, and we fell in love with the country, the culture, the
Yeah.
people. We're both nature lovers,
Yeah.
and there's a cool community here of expats, and we just really enjoy it. I mean, we just recently bought a condo here, and it has a wraparound terrace. Giant parrots fly to our balcony
That's
every
sick.
evening. It's friggin' awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I just visited almost exactly a year ago. I think it was May of last year. And same thing, my girlfriend and I, we loved it. We thought about toying with the idea of moving there. I would say Medellin is such a beautiful city. It's a little too city-ish for me. Like I like to be like a little more off the beaten path.
Yeah.
But we talked about this in the coaching call last night. But we're definitely moving out of Las Vegas probably in like the next 6 to 12 months.
Mm,
And the number one on our list is Bali. And Bali
mm,
and Medellin had a lot of the same parallels that I really liked. I loved the
yeah.
culture. The lifestyle is amazing, really cool expat scene. So it's like you still have a little bit of familiarity and you can kind of plug into a community that like feels like something you could find back home. And there's
Mm,
a lot of just very like-minded people. But I'm a beach guy, man. I love the beach. So that was the
yeah.
one
Yeah.
thing I was missing in Medellin. I want to go to Cartagena and go see
Yeah.
uh, the coast. And then there's a beautiful island by Cartagena. I can't remember the name. It's like super tropical in Colombia. Maybe you know what it is. I don't know.
I've been to there's this other island, it's called Providencia,
Okay.
and we had an Australian friend, and she was said, "You want to go to Providencia and not the Great Barrier Reef, because the Providencia is what the Great Barrier Reef used to look
Used to
like."
be.
Yeah,
Are
yeah,
you a big
but
snorkeler?
yeah, yeah, I like water. Yeah,
Yeah.
but in any case, it's like you said it on the call before. It takes a very special kind of person to want to relocate
Yeah.
to another country. So you meet cool people all the time as
You
an
do.
expat.
I agree, man.
That's probably my
Okay, so
favorite part. Mhm.
yeah, 3 months into this business, a good testament to the fact that you can run this from anywhere. The time zone's friendly. It's CST for those that don't know. So it's not like a crazy time zone. But I was running this business in Bali. You can really run it from anywhere. 3 months in, just give me the kind of bird's eye view of what's going on in the business. Now I know we reviewed kind of a cool deal in Michigan last night. It was like maybe a flip, maybe a subdivide, crazy
Mhm.
situation with a seller just getting out of jail. Maybe we could
Yeah.
talk about that for a second. But give me bird's eye view on the business. Where are you at in the business? How much marketing have you done? Anything in the pipeline that you're working on?
Um, I mean, it I think I would like to send out a little more marketing. So for the last 2 months, I've been sending about 1,400 letters a week.
Okay.
So the first week, you can say it's kinda seasoned already,
Mhm.
but the weeks after that, it's gonna take a little more time. Um, I got some leads. I would say most of them were not very good. Like they
Mhm.
would drop off pretty quickly. Oh, they want retail price, or
Yeah.
oh, they want moon price or something like that. So, but there were a couple where I mean, even though I don't have anything on contract yet, I'm like, oh shit, that was a near miss right
Yeah.
there, and that
Yeah.
could have added like 100 grand in pipeline right
Yeah.
there. So I'm starting to slowly see the possibilities in this
Mhm.
business. Um, you just have to be patient. Like two months in, mail not fully seasoned, 6,000, 5,000, 6,000 letters. It's just not enough time to really see what's going on. Also,
Yeah.
I look through my letters, and um, I look through the Excel sheets, and I didn't really pay attention to this enough, but I am going after higher value properties.
Mhm.
Like,
Okay.
I mean, I'm trying to stick to that mid market range that we're talking about, but I would say the average purchase price of average offer price, rather, it's around 60, 70 grand
Mm.
for these
Okay.
properties.
So that kind of puts you right in the territory of Ben inside the group, who I'm sure you've interfaced with. But those are kind of the price points he goes after. Most of the deals, I think, on average, are about a $50,000 spread. So most of those are going to be buy for 50, sell for 100 type deals.
Yeah.
And his stats are about double of what you'd expect. So he's like in the 5,000 letter per deal range.
Hmm.
So given the fact that you've sent out about 6,000 letters or so, you're probably, I would say, within the next 30 days, you'll get your first deal from that batch. But like I always say, it's like your worst mailers are always your first mailers. And so
Yeah.
the KPIs from those are never going to be indicative of the KPIs that you're going to see long term. So you're sending
Yeah.
1,400 mailers a month, or not a month, a week. Hopefully not a month.
Yeah.
Um, just for the newer folks on here, talk about what's getting your, like, what's catching your attention. I know you're probably going after mid-market properties like we talked about, 25K to 250K, ultra rural, more rural infill. What kind of property types are you going after?
Well, following the LIA method, I'm going after markets with a pretty high sell through rate,
Yeah.
because I mean, you've mentioned this a few times in the calls, but the the acquisitions, in a way, is actually the easier part of this business, and the dispositions, if you have the wrong property or the wrong market, you could be sitting on that thing for a very long time
Yeah.
in this market. And that makes sense because I mean, I talked to like most of my family members, most of my friends. I don't know that many people who want to buy land. So it's not like
Yeah.
houses or something.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, I'm sticking to that, and therefore I'm okay with getting a lower response rate and a lower intake of leads.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, honestly, I think the main thing for me is I just have to send out more mail.
Yeah.
Uh, what I notice is in some markets, like I'm looking at a lot of Midwest, a lot of people are looking at Midwestern markets right now because the sell through rates are quite high there. Um, by the time because I clean my lists, I
Mhm.
scrub them. I have a VA scrub them for all that bad stuff, and I also scrub them myself, like take out all the Joe's landfill and Board of Education, Michigan Board of Education, all that stuff. A lot of times I'm like, oh shoot, wow, I priced out. I mean, I didn't price. I had 20 like 15,000 20,000 records before, but now it's only like
Yeah.
10 or
I
something
know.
like that.
Yeah.
It's like cooking spinach, in your pan.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well
oh
done
shoot,
quick.
where'd all that spinach go? So
Yeah.
maybe I just have to just get 30,000 records,
Mhm.
and then now I compress it down, and now maybe I have maybe I have 15,000 records to play
Yeah.
with.
Yeah. If you're really deeply scrubbing your list, you're removing the schools, the landfills, all the stuff that you wouldn't even want to market to in the first place in terms of ownership, and then removing the physical stuff that you wouldn't want to market to. I mean, if you're really thorough, about 50% of your list will disappear. If you're just doing the physical scrubbing and nothing else, it's about 30%. So you can kind of do the back and napkin math of how much data you're going to need. Let's talk
Mhm.
about that deal we looked at last night, just to kind of fill people
Sure.
in. I don't know if you've got an update on it. We were waiting on some words from a realtor, from a seller.
Yeah.
Seller just got out of jail in a very, very hot market. It's a buy
Yeah.
for 30, probably worth 90, maybe 110. Got some
Yeah.
improvements. I think it can be subdivided. So what's the word on that one?
Yeah, I talked to her a little bit more today,
Okay.
and we had some objections about the property.
Mm,
You and I on yesterday's call. One being that there's junk on the property, and two being that there's an encroachment,
yeah.
probably an encroachment of property from their house on the other side. And well, she was like, well, there's not that much junk. We can just move that. It's just a few cars or something like that, and that'll be free then. And then I was like, okay. And then she was like, and well, I mean, we got it surveyed recently, so that house isn't actually encroaching. So
Mm,
it's like, I mean, I would like to believe her, but I'm not moving forward on this property at the price that she might want unless I know that those things are actually true. So,
yeah.
mhm,
So in that situation, and like I wouldn't doubt the seller. I would just make it the closing contingent on that being true, and
mm,
then ask for some kind of proof, right? So yeah, cool. Well, I'll send over the contract. We can get it signed. The closing is contingent on you showing me the survey that there's not an encroachment and all the
mm,
trash being removed before closing. I don't think she realizes how difficult it is to move cars. It's
yeah,
expensive, and
yeah,
yeah, I mean, like just to drop one of those things off at the dump, it's probably gonna be hundreds of bucks per car or something like that. I don't know. It could be
probably.
more.
Mhm,
So she's definitely oversimplifying it, but hey, if she wants to take that on and you can apply a deadline to make the contract contingent on it, there's nothing wrong with that.
mhm.
And you got enough margin there to where I'd want to get that deal locked up sooner rather than later. So if I just imagine all that is true, is she open to moving forward to the $33,000 price point?
That is too low for her.
Okay.
So, so I tried moving it up a bit. I was like 38, 39, and she wasn't quite down for that either. She wasn't down for that either. So I had to suggest the double close there after
Mm.
that. I didn't really have an option then, but we'll see how that goes. Like she has to talk about with her father. That's who owns the property.
Does she have a contract in front of her?
She does, yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
With the updated price,
The double close,
double
the
close.
double close price. I said we could do 50.
Mm. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Did you get any word from realtors on what it would be like if this were to be subdivided?
Not yet. I called and left some messages, but I mean, I looked at the acreage sizes for, like, let's say I did call the county and they said they want 200. They want one, at least 1 acre and 200 feet of frontage for
Easy.
each lot. Yeah,
Okay.
but that gives me only 3 lots right there
Yeah.
at 4 acres apiece. And I looked at the comps for 4 acres, and I wasn't really too thrilled about.
Yeah, it's very weird though. I think we talked about this last night, and this is kind of this can happen. And I just don't think there's enough comps there that are relevant or recent or accurate. Because the way it shows is it shows that there'd be almost no advantage to subdividing it, which
Yeah,
in a market that's that hot, I just find kind of hard to
hard
believe.
to believe. Yeah,
So I think that's more the case than anything else, and that's where getting a realtor's opinion would be valuable. I would imagine that going from whatever it is right now, was it 12 acres or 16 acres or 13 acres, something like that,
yeah, 13 and a half.
13 and a half, going down to fours would definitely have to present some value. So yeah, I think it's just kind of an issue of the data being thin, but a realtor would be beneficial in that case. Either way, it's gonna be an interesting deal. It's really kind of a no lose proposition. If you do double close, though, the one tough thing is that those issues need to be verified before you market the property, in my opinion.
Mm,
And then the trash would need to be removed,
mm.
and you have to see the survey and make sure that encroachment isn't happening. Did you also ask about the adjacent property with a home on it? Are they interested in selling that?
Uh, yeah, she's not really interested in selling that. They want to
No.
keep it as a. It's in. It looks like it's in rough shape, but for some reason they want to keep it as like a cabin or something. And
Okay.
I guess they have roots there.
Okay, fair. And she is positive that they fixed the encroachment.
I have a feeling she doesn't know what she's talking about. I mean, she just came out of prison, so
Yeah.
it's,
Well, hey, ask
yeah,
for the paper trail. But
yeah.
nonetheless, when it's a double close, it's going to be an interesting deal. There's $40,000-$50,000 of spread there. Um, Mail's only been seasoning for a little bit, but are there any other interesting deals or potential deals in your pipeline that you're working?
Not right now. I had one that was really promising, but it just fell through. Unfortunately, it was a buy for 120, like sell
Mhm.
for 210.
Okay.
Um, but but he's supposedly gotten a way higher offer. So I know
Mm,
that's not going to work out. So I'm following up with him once in a while, but he's
yeah.
not answering my calls right now. So
It's okay. And playing the
yeah.
long game, and often it
Mhm.
doesn't. I mean, when that does happen, and it happens every now and again, just cast a little doubt. Say, look, is this another investor or is this a retail buyer? They say it's an investor. Say, shucks, I'm pretty good friends with most of the investors out here. I just can't imagine
Yeah.
how the math is going to pencil for them. And unfortunately, people make offers they don't perform on. I mean, I don't want to, wish you bad juju here, but if it does happen, give me
Sure.
a call or I'll follow up with you. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know what the stat is, but boy, these things, they just crumble. I mean, the vast majority of the time. So good chance you'll come back and save the day. 6,000 mailers have been sent out. How many leads in total? I'm going to grill you on your KPIs, but how many leads in total have you gotten?
Yeah. Let's take a look here. So 6,000 mailers, and I have so leads
Yeah.
about okay, 10 leads right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
10 qualified leads or 10 total?
10 total.
Okay. And
Hmm.
how out of that 6,000, how much of it is like, hey, this was sent in the last month versus this was sent 2 months ago? Was the majority of, I imagine the majority of it's been sent more recently, right?
Yeah, I would say so. And there were some delays because Rocket Print screwed up my template, and I had
Oh, I
to
remember
fix
that.
that with them. And so it's we need more time to really
Yeah.
get a grasp on this. Like, I mean, the only mailer I really have a grasp on, kind of, is maybe the first 1,500 I sent,
Right.
because that was sent about 2 months ago. But that's
Yeah.
only 1,500 mailers, and they were to pretty high demand markets with
Yeah.
large acreages and price points.
What I always tell people, this is probably old news for you, but for those watching, I say 3 months is the line in the sand where like you can even start asking questions. Like up until 3 months, it's not even worth asking questions because it's too noisy. There's like very little
Yeah.
bit to actually signal in the first few weeks, first few months, and then
Mhm.
6 months is like the true like okay, this worked or didn't work kind of line in the sand.
Sure.
Because the thing is like even like you're talking about right, you're like there's deals where maybe they didn't work out or maybe they do work out, but you're talking about $100,000 swing on a deal, or it could be more, it could even be 50 grand, still sizable. We play on a very thin edge in this business, as in it just takes one deal to make a mailer like wildly profitable. And sometimes that deal comes in on the 9th month and it looks like it was a total dud. I always talk about this, but anyone that's been mailing for a long time can attest to the fact that you get deals years down the road from mailers. There's a very long tail effect to what we do, but it's hard for folks to anticipate. And that's the one qualm I have with direct mail. It's the one thing that makes what we teach a little bit difficult, is that people have all of this vigor and excitement and they send out mail and they have to sit on their hands and wait. Where if texting was the main thing we were doing, you would know within 48 hours. You get feedback pretty quickly. So 2 months, let's just call it 2 months of really being in this business and taking action. What's been the biggest takeaway? Like, what are the areas that you feel like, hey, I'm actually really good at this and better than I expected, and these are the areas that I want to double down and start working on? Has anything become apparent? Like now that you're taking calls, picking markets, pricing markets.
Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty good with the pricing,
Yeah.
actually, because I get quite a few calls, sometimes FU calls, sometimes leads, where they're like, "How dare you mail me at 40% or 50% of what
Like,
the
yes.
property is worth," or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I think I did." So I'm like, and then because I test my mailers a lot. I like try my food a lot
Yeah.
before I send them out. I'm like,
Yep.
okay, all right, would I buy that for this price?
Yes.
And yeah, most of the time I do pretty well. I'm within the ballpark. So
Yeah.
the only thing is just motivation. I just have to find someone who's willing to sell to me at the price I
Yeah.
want.
And motivation is always a sticky wick, especially when you're dealing with higher value properties. You're dealing with
Yeah.
sellers that are a little more sophisticated and usually keep their cards a little closer to their chest. I just had
Yeah.
a team meeting today, and I feel like I repeat this every day to my team, or at least on all of our calls. But it's so profound, and it's like one of the ways to figure out a seller's motivation, because like sometimes a seller comes to you and they say, like you said, they want moon prices. You're like, this is
Hmm.
ridiculous. Person's not motivated. And most people just get off that call and they're done with it. But on every one of those situations, we say, hey, look I'm just here to help you. And maybe I'm not the guy that buys the property from you. And it sounds like with the price that you're looking for, you probably need to list it yourself, or I
Hmm.
can try calling around and find you a realtor. And when we say that line, almost every time they say, well, truth is, my son has some terminal illness or this, or I got to leave my house for this or that. And then we get the real truth. And once we know that, it's like we can hang out with them a little bit longer and just kind of throw out the numbers they're giving us. And I think it also just kind of builds this genuine rapport where it's, hey, this is a guy that's just trying to help me get this deal done. And he's a little more indifferent and unbiased whether he's the one to do it or not. So you do get a lot, like you got to kiss a lot of frogs. We do get a lot of unmotivated leads, but I think some people take what sellers say so literally, especially
Hmm.
in the beginning. Just like when we shoot a
Hmm.
seller a low ball offer, they shoot us their high ball offer. None
Hmm.
of it is really that literal. You'll probably do the deal for more than what you offered, and they'll probably do it for less what they offered. So I've been spending time to kind of get down to brass tacks of why is this person even calling me if they want this over the top price?
Yeah, yeah. I always ask them why they're selling, and that is a strategy I do use. I do try to say, hey, why don't you, if you want this price, why don't you try selling with a realtor? I have a few
Yeah,
on hand that I know of.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I think it's kind of what you're talking about with higher value properties. You have less of those situations where they, like you said, they need to just get out of it instantly. Like most people are like, oh, I don't mind waiting 6 months or something like that. And then I pitched
yeah,
them a double close, but that only works on some people.
yeah. Well, it's interesting. So I think that these sellers of larger properties, yeah, they usually don't have like the same sky is falling issues where it's
Sure.
like I gotta sell tomorrow and get the money.
Hmm.
But I do find, because it's such a small little chunk of people that actually call us back from our marketing, whatever it may be, that there's usually some reason they don't want to use a realtor, don't want to list it themselves. And it might not be the classic signs of distress, but there's usually some reason there. And so I don't know, I just always find it interesting, like these people that seem so icy cold to us and like we're miles apart. Sometimes it's just a disgust of realtors, or they're just freaking lazy, or they're busy. They don't want to go and source a realtor. And we don't always agree on price, and that's where double closing comes into play. But
Hmm.
I find those are great candidates where they're kind of indifferent on time to double close. But with that being said, there are still the majority of people we talk to are just freaking out to lunch. There's nothing we can do about them. And that's the hard part about this business is like people look at it from this very polarizing standpoint of good lead, bad lead. There's a whole kind of middle section of people that are kind of neutral, and we can kind of pull them into the good lead range if we're willing to sit through that discomfort. I was talking about not discomfort, but just kind of sit through the drudgery of trying to turn a lead from a bad lead to a good lead or a neutral lead to a good lead. I was talking about this on our coaching call last night, but I'll reiterate it for everyone here. And this is one of the dangers of double closing and becoming obsessed with double closing is people never spend the time to push any further or really get to brass tacks with the seller because they've got this easy out. And people wonder why sometimes I never do cash closes or I never get the 50% discounts. It's like, yeah, because you give up too soon and you haven't developed the acquisition skill set to really dig in with these sellers. And it becomes very easy. And it's like a pacifier just to do the double closes. So just my 2 cents there. Let's talk about where you're going with this business. Obviously, you've had success in other areas. You could probably run a lot of different businesses. So why land and where are you looking to take this thing?
Well, I've always wanted to get into real estate, even back when I was doing my other business, and I thought about all sorts of different stuff. I was like, okay, I could flip houses, I could wholesale, I could just buy and hold, I could just maybe try to slowly create a portfolio of rental properties. But this just made the most sense to me.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I really do think it's interesting. It's like playing a strategy game or something. Like
Yeah.
it tests my mind. I get to talk to people. Um, I like it.
And where are you looking to take it?
Well, I mean, right now, I'm just learning. I focused my year on this, and this is the year where I learn the ins and out of this business. So that's as far as I'm seeing it as far as the year. I would like to make X amount of dollars this year, but I have to work on the things I can control. I can send out X amount of mailers a month. I can attend all the coaching calls. I can have my education on the side. Um, but I would like to turn this into a 7-figure business one
Yeah.
day. Yeah, I don't know when that's going to be, but I know that if I keep doing what I'm doing right now, it's going to come at some point.
Dude, that's the right mindset. You know what that mindset is? That's the mindset of someone that goes to the gym. And I'm not saying that going to the gym is for everyone, but I find that people that work out, like they just understand that you just go in, you chip away. You don't know when you're going to get the results you want. You follow a plan, you just execute day in and day out, and good things will happen. And I just find that like my friends that work out seem to just kind of understand that, like just control the variables that you can control. I was just having a conversation on Friday with a LIA member about this, and I'm like, dude, the it's like there's no exception to this rule. The people that get the best results inside of LIA are the ones that I can see how much the content they watch that finish damn near 100% of the programs and show up to every single coaching call. And they don't always stay for the full whatever 3 hours, but they're on
Mhm.
pretty much every coaching call or really, really close to it. In the beginning, that's what you can control. People start to phase out of that. Of course, they get busy in their own business, and that's natural. But I think in the beginning, that's the right attitude. And then same thing in your business. The variables you can control is sending out marketing, picking markets, all that jazz, and it'll catch up to you. But I'm sure you still have goals for the action or the activity that you want to take in your business. So what are like the goals that you can control, whether they be marketing or building a team or adding marketing channels? Are there any aspirations there?
Yeah, well, right now I'm just gonna focus on direct mail. I really want to get a good handle on that. I mean, that's the gold standard in this business. I mean, throughout all my education programs, that's what everyone has said. So I'm gonna stick with that. Um, and I guess I kind of had a question for you.
Yeah.
So so right now, I basically I set aside a certain amount of resources for this business for the entire year, and my mail, um, I'm trying to send it so that it takes up 1/12. Every month takes up 1/12 of the resources,
Okay.
in terms of systems, in terms of mail, all that stuff. So, I mean, this might be one of those unanswerable questions. It's like a personality based thing. Because maybe I could send out more mail right now, but then if I don't have any results in so many months, then I'm out of dry powder. But
Yeah.
the way I see it is, if I get a deal and it closes, well, then I'm playing with the house's money. Then I can send out as much mail as I could bear,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
as I
Yeah.
want. Then,
So
so
two
what
things.
do you think about that?
Yeah, I have a strong, I have what I would call a strong opinion on this. But before I talk about that, you don't have to talk about the exact budget or anything along those
Sure.
lines. But
Hmm.
what tools are you using in the business? Because I find that folks that come in, like there's two kinds of people that come in, right? There's folks who like are really, they're like so scrappy. They're like, dude, I'm using an Excel sheet
Hmm.
and Rocket Print Mail, and that's all in data tree. That's all I'm using. Some
Hmm.
folks have a little more cushion, and they have all these different bells and whistles. So, what tools are you using in the business right now?
So I have Pebble,
Okay,
and I have, let's see here, I have a list of them right here. Okay. I have Pebble, I
okay,
have Answer Force,
okay.
and Google Workspace and Land ID, and I have a virtual mailbox. So um, Answer Force is a variable cost, but
Yeah,
all that together is about $400 a month
okay.
right
It's
now.
not bad at all. Where are you getting your data from? Data tree?
Data tree, yeah. I
Okay,
paid for a bunch at the beginning
cool.
of the
Okay.
year.
That's actually, yeah. I mean, you could trim the fat. Yeah, you could take away land ID and just use data tree and then stack with the GIS. Now, we're talking about pennies here, though.
Yeah,
That's
it's
really
like
not bad at all. I've seen way
$10.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is my 2 cents. Look, you've experienced this building businesses. There's a level of faith that's required, right? And so hopefully you've seen enough evidence just from being inside the community to know, hey, I've got a high level of faith that this works and that I've got the capabilities to do it.
Hmm.
And so then the question is, well, why drag out the inevitable over 12 months? Why not
Hmm.
compress time and allocate that budget to a shorter window? Because you
Hmm.
know it's unreasonable to expect that you wouldn't get at least a deal in what, 6 months? I mean, it'd be unreasonable. If you're
Sure.
putting, how many hours a week are you putting in this business?
Yeah, probably 35,
Yeah, you're
40.
putting 35 hours in this business.
Hmm.
You're educated in this business. You run other businesses before. You've got money to play with. A 12 months is arbitrary. That's just I mean, who cares about 12 months? It's just a made up number. Let's
Hmm.
compress time, man. Let's go push that. Now, the caveat to that is let's go and actually validate that we know what the heck we're doing.
Of course.
So you're starting to get a bit of a sample size from your first results. I don't think I would put like gas on the fire just yet. I would want to kind of hit that 3 month mark. And then
Hmm.
we could say, screw the 12 months. Let's cut that down to 6 or even something potentially more aggressive. Now, the
Hmm.
constraint is going to be, though, is well, how many leads could you handle? Because we can't compress it too much. Otherwise, you're just going to be drowning in opportunity.
Hmm.
I think, what you're sending out 6,000 mailers a month, a little bit under that right now.
Hmm.
Dude, you could definitely send out 12,000 mailers, 10,000 mailers a month with how much time you're putting in and not require a team. Do that long enough and it'll get busy, but it's certainly doable.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents, man. But let's go and validate that you know what you're doing. But look, it sounds like you're scrubbing your mailers. You're picking, I looked at some of the markets and we looked at some of the deals, good markets, good looking properties. We want to make sure that you know what you're doing on the phone and you feel comfortable there for when you have fat pitches that you're ready to go. But
Hmm.
I don't see anything wrong with that. The one thing that I will recommend to you, though, and this is just probably going to happen naturally as you start picking more markets and pushing more data through your business.
Hmm.
And I don't like seeing people that get so glommed on to certain price points. That's why we kind of have like a
Mm.
wide parameter. You will
Yeah.
probably want to intermix some lower price inventory in there. It's just those little pops that keep you afloat. And
Yeah.
you'll see guys and gals that have 50K averages for gross profit, but it doesn't
Hmm.
mean that they're also not doing deals when they make 20K. But it means they're also doing deals when they make 150K. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and that might not even be deliberate that's happening now, but if it is, I would open up those parameters.
Yeah. I mean, I have the next basically 2 months of mailers set up right now, and um, a lot of them are like those, like I mentioned, those higher price properties, like
Mhm.
six-figure properties. Um, but I'm figuring by then I would have sent a bunch of mail out. If I don't like my results, I'm already prepping some lower price points, still with good sell-through rates. But I'm utilizing Mike's strategy like going after subdivisions, and I'm
Okay.
kind of mixing that in right now.
Cool. 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 Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'd like to see a little diversity there. I mean, the truth is, getting six-figure properties, it happens, but I find it's easier to have happen when we're taking kind of a wide basket opposed
Hmm.
to just targeting those. I just find that it's very unpredictable. Like
Sure.
I find a lot more predictability with deals where we make 20, 30K, but we do
Hmm.
like, say 5, 6, 7 of those a month, opposed to like the 100K deal a month. I've heard like urban legends of land investors doing that. I just don't know how they do it. When I've
Hmm.
tried to just focus on mega expensive properties, I just get smoked. So
Yeah.
I focus on kind of all those properties within our price brackets and get the small ones, the big ones.
Hmm.
How do you feel on the phones though? Because that is going to really play into your success, as you've probably heard us talk about before. Like acquisitions is kind of the lifeblood of this business in a lot of ways. Do you
Yeah.
feel confident taking those calls?
I feel pretty confident. I mean, because kind of going back to my previous business, I'm kind
Yeah.
of used to talking to these uh, older, more conservative type people. Like that's just I'm kind of a redneck too, just like them, like in terms of my interests and stuff. So I know how to talk to those people. I mean, if they
Okay.
want to sell, that is. If they don't
Yeah.
want to sell, if they just want to tell me a screw off or something, or they want like $1 million, then there's only so far you can go. But I feel pretty confident.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, man. Then with all that being said, let's let some of those mailers season.
Hmm.
And really what are we gonna look at here? Well, we don't need to necessarily watch them go full cycle and get deals. We don't even need to wait that long. What
Yeah.
we need to see though is, was the response rate healthy? I mean, look, you can be profitable with a bad response rate, but it is indicative of something if it's consistently happening. I would expect, 0.2 to 0.5%, like that.
Yeah.
Um, are we getting leads where we can see how this could like, translate into a deal? And when we do get leads, was the price that we offered, was it somewhat accurate? Like, were we in the right realm? If we see
Hmm.
that consistently enough, then we can kind of put some gas to the fire. The problem is if we wanted to wait 90 days, like we want to do it perfectly, we want to wait 90 days for all the mailers you send out. It's just going to take too long.
Yeah.
And you do one of the things that I love doing, which is like, I think people call it like dog fooding or something like that, where like essentially you go and actually test the mailer. Is what I used
Hmm.
to do all the time. I just go grab random APNs and go and test them. And if you're bringing that level of care to your mailers, I just don't think your pricing is going to be wildly inaccurate. And I think you've got a pretty good grasp on the data side of things. So,
Yeah.
dude, yeah, throw 12 months out the window. Just goodbye. This time, let's
Okay.
compress time. Let's get rock and rolling. And
Yeah.
the weird thing about direct mail is we deal with really big numbers, like 10,000 mailers a month. That sounds so crazy. Bro, there's
Hmm.
people sending 100,000 mailers a month. People
Yeah. I
sending
hear about
hundreds of
them.
thousands. And so the
Hmm.
numbers sound ginormous, but 10,000, you're just warming up. Like you're literally just getting started.
Hmm.
So that's my 2 cents, man. I want to pass off the mic to you and kind of flip the script. But before we do, what would you say to, I don't know, I guess someone that was in your shoes 3 months ago that's like on the podcast, YouTube train, thinking about diving in? Obviously, you've only been in this business for a little bit,
Yeah.
but like, what would be your advice to someone? It could just be
I
a learning that you've had. It could be a next step. Could be anything. There's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah. I mean, I've run other businesses before, and this business is very interesting.
Yeah.
It's like with like I have a lot of friends who are still in e-commerce or they're doing other like doing PPC marketing and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
they talk to me and they're like, "Oh, well, I made $300 that day, and I made negative 100 that day, and I made
Yeah.
400 that day," and it's kind of like they have like a machine gun, they have like all this ammo and they're just spraying it nonstop.
Yeah.
But I have a freaking bazooka here, and you have to when you have that, it kind of plays with your mind because like I'm like, oh shit, I barely missed right there, and oh man, I need to reload again, and
Yeah.
you have to be. I mean, you have to be patient, and you have to have a thick skin, and I mean, and you have to be tough. Like this is, I think you mentioned this before. This is a simple business, but it's not an easy business,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's I'd say more so than working out. This is in a lot of ways. This is kind of like going to the boxing gym. This is
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are. Like if you go work out, you're a beginner and you go work out, you'll get a pump in the mirror, you'll feel good, you'll lift a little bit of
Yeah.
weights. But if you go to a boxing gym, I don't care who you are. You could be in great shape. You're gonna get your clock cleaned for like the first 3 months. And
Yeah.
and then you slowly start building things up, and then the first year you're you're still kind of suck,
Yeah.
and then 8 years later you're like an amateur boxer or something like that. And
Yeah.
that's the I think some of the other members mentioned this too. You have that timeline here. Like, I've been through other programs before. I've been on Facebook groups, and many people have been like, oh yeah, I sent out 10,000 mailers and I just got 10 FU calls and nothing happened. So this is
Mhm.
silly and I'm
Yeah.
out of this right now.
Yeah.
And you have to be mentally, financially prepared to have that long time frame. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's where I am right now.
It's the truth, man. I've been thinking about making a video about this because it pains me when I see it. And I think any person that educates that's going to have this happen at some point or another. But people always have the best of intentions. But of course, we still get people that are looking for the shortcut. They're looking for the easy button. And this looks like a very easy operation. And it seems like, hey, this is laid out in a blueprint. It's very straightforward. And I think we try to do a good job of providing a blueprint. But at the end of the day, dude, you're building a business. Like, business inherently is fucking hard. You are turning nothing into something. It's like
Yeah.
alchemy. Like that in any context, in any industry, in any niche is going to be really difficult. And sometimes people will complain like, damn, I lost a deal. It's just so unfair. I'm like, no, dude, that's business. Like, I get kicked. I talk about getting your clock cleaned. I get my clock cleaned every day. And that's just the nature of building things. I've never found a business that like didn't have that feature.
Yeah.
And
Same.
those that are willing to persevere get all the rewards. So yeah, I think there's something to be said about that. Just because there's a blueprint and just because this business seems like it's like step by step actionable and you're not inventing a product or a service doesn't mean that it's still not a business. I don't know what the stat is, but I think most businesses don't even break even for like years. We're talking
Yeah.
about people going and making multiple six figures their first year, and that's like normal. It's, this is still kind of an outlandish situation. So I couldn't agree more, man. I think you've got the right mindset. And you do have to be well capitalized, not extremely. You don't have to be like loaded to the gills,
Hmm.
but you need at least five figures, at least, to kind of weather out the storm. And everyone's journey looks a little different. I mean, we've got folks that get their first deal in 30 days, but you can't really anticipate it. I would say what's more normal is about 90 to 120 days. But it also
Yeah.
depends, well, how quickly did you send your mail out? There's so many variables that go into it. And then you get your deal, but it takes another 60 days or 90 days for the
Yeah.
money to even come into your bank account. So I couldn't agree more. Well, let's flip the script. Grill me. What questions you got, man?
Um. mm, I mean, I probably have more questions about when you started this business.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
if I may ask, why did you start this? Get into this?
Oh, yeah, good question. I'll try to keep a long story short.
Sure.
So I've always, I mean, I guess the story goes way back. I've always been entrepreneurial, like literally since I was a little kid. Um, I moved back to San Diego. I was kind of looking for my next thing. So I did an internship for Raytheon. It's like a
Mm,
government contractor. I thought, I was like, maybe, I think I was in my early 20s. I was like probably 22. I'm like, maybe I should just try the professional route and just see what that looks like. And I tried it on. I moved to Washington, D.C. It was not for me. I did it for a year. So I moved back to San Diego, which is where I was originally living. And I was just kind of looking for my next operation. Before I'd always kind of, I've been really quick to jump onto things. Like, dude, I was spinning up multiple businesses a year. Like, I was going and I was flipping laundry, like washing machines. Had a junk removal business, photography business. I mean, just all these different things. And I was so quick to take action. I was kind of thoughtless. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna actually think about what my next operation is going to be. And thought about wholesaling real estate. That was like still kind of like in the earlier days where it was popular, but nowhere near like what it is today.
hmm.
And tried that for a few months. It's like, no, this is pretty hard and it wasn't really for me. But I was starting to go down the real estate rabbit hole, bigger pockets. And I heard a podcast for land. I thought that was interesting. Sent out some mailers, started to get some results,
Hmm.
and just kind of tripped and stumbled through it. But I think that doesn't even really answer the question. I think the question is way deeper than that. That's like the
Yeah.
pragmatic of how I got this business. I
Hmm.
think the question is, well, why would anyone want to start a business? Because again, inherently starting a business is fucking difficult. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Ask anyone that's been in this long enough for any industry. It's difficult. And sometimes I do question, like, God, why am I doing this? Like, It's like I love pain or something. Like it's just especially you start running multiple businesses at once. It's like the highs are high, but the lows are low, and
Hmm.
you're just juggling a lot of balls and a lot of moving parts. I think it initially started from a place of insecurity as a kid, and I never really had hobbies. I was never really good at anything. I was put in special needs classes. Like I just was kind of an
Same here.
outcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Mhm.
business kind of felt like, oh, finally something that I'm okay at. And I was like, I always feel like I was good at like this first stage. Like I could spin up an idea and go get traction, even as a kid, like really quickly. And so I was like, this is what I'm good at. And I remember as a kid, there was this one lady. I went to her garage sale, and I'll never forget it. And I grew up with a single mom for most of my life, so like money was
Mhm.
always really, really tight. This was at kind of a low point in high school. My mom and I, she had just gotten a divorce. Like it was just a
Mhm.
kind of a rough season. And we went to this garage sale, and this lady looked at me and she said, I can feel in your energy that one day you're going to be massively successful. And that just like stuck with me. That woman does not know what those words did to me, man. I like just really, that was like the validation that I was going to do this. And I was just really starting to get like deep, 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 deep into my entrepreneurial streak.
Mhm.
Some of it was motivated from wanting to, bring my mom out of poverty. So did a lot of things, but honestly, I think this is the same thing with working out. People get into the gym for superficial reasons, right? And
Yeah.
those aren't always the best reasons, but that gets you in the door, and then you find the deeper meaning in it. And so nowadays it has nothing to do with that. Nowadays it's about, for me, business is it's a self-development thing. It's a
Mhm.
mirror that makes me look at my bullshit because I put my nose to the grindstone and or my feet to the fire rather, and I have to challenge myself and I have to grow. And I've just found that, like, in the beginning, it's about technique and strategy, and you're looking for the edge, the new marketing channel, the new hack. And then a few years into your journey, all that shit goes out the window. It's your personal development that's in question. That's how you grow, because it becomes a leadership game. And if you're a shell of a man, no way you're going to be able to lead people.
Mhm.
And so for me, that's the thing. I always feel like business is kind of like a mirror. Like saying that, I feel like romantic relationships are like a mirror. Like it really makes you look at your stuff. And
100%.
so I enjoy that part. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. It just started for stupid reasons, honestly. It's a very
Yeah.
long-winded answer, but the land story was nothing special. I was just kind of looking for my next thing. And then
Mhm.
once I did that first deal, it touched me on a level that reminded me of the FBA stuff, which I loved. I find the arbitrage so exciting, the thrill of the chase, the thrill of the deal, and this had that element to it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So that's how I stumbled into it. How did you get into the world of business?
Well, I don't know. It's just so I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. So
Yeah.
my grandpa came to the US from Taiwan in the
Yeah.
70s, and he started the first business he started was like a shitty fish and chip shop on the beach.
Okay.
He bought like a bad hotel in the woods. Um, he so just break even or not making any money
Yeah.
for years. Like, and his fourth business was a computer store, and some people came in who wanted to partner with him, and that company actually became one of the pioneering companies in like business computers in the
Wow.
US. Like it went public in the 80s. So
Wow.
he didn't. It's entrepreneurship so funny. Like he went from here to like
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
multimillionaire,
Yeah.
and they went bust during the tech crash.
Oh.
And but like I always tell people, he didn't become a multimillionaire until he was in his late 50s.
Yeah.
Before that, he was just getting his clock cleaned.
Yeah.
And jokes on everyone, he's 95 right now. So like you can only control your inputs, not
Yeah.
your outputs. But it's sort of just, I guess it's sort of just in my blood. Like
Yeah.
I just find it really interesting.
Yeah.
It's like playing a video game,
Yeah.
and I love talking shop with people. I love and I love, like you said, say just creating something out of nothing and
Yeah.
seeing it spread like a little
Yeah.
like a tree
It's
or
addicting,
something.
bro. This sound. Some people might totally disagree with me.
Mhm.
I don't even care what your religious views are. I mean, I definitely believe in a God. I think I'm agnostic more than anything. I'm definitely not an atheist, but I don't really prescribe to a single religion.
Yeah.
But for me, turning nothing into something or turning what was up here into the physical world, that to
Mhm.
me feels like a connection to God or the universe or whatever. Like if you call it manifesting, whatever you want to call it. But to me, it's always such a profound experience where I look back and I said, hey, this moment right now, I thought about this 2 years ago. I envisioned this,
Yeah.
and here I am. And I love that feeling of looking back and connecting the dots. And it just reminds me that life is so much deeper and more wonderful than we even realize. It's not just in this 3D material world. It's interesting. I was actually just in Taipei like a week ago or
Oh,
two
yeah?
weeks ago.
Real
That's where we
Oh,
had our
for
layover.
transit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I'd like to go check out Taiwan. That's crazy that he had a company go public. That's like not a small feat at all. That's a
Yeah,
really big deal. And that's the
yeah,
thing too, dude. We like everyone inside of LIA for the most part is pretty young and ambitious. And yeah, we forget that, dude. I don't even think that Warren Buffett became a billionaire until he was like a senior citizen. Like, and now
yeah,
he's worth 100 bill. But he was
yeah.
like in his 60s. And then just like if you just stay at it long enough, amazing things will happen.
And I bet you the way he thought about money when he was 25 to
Yeah.
30 is complete, and the way he thought about money when he was in his 50s and 60s, it's completely different. It's
Yeah, I
completely
totally
different.
agree. I totally agree. And I'm sure you've experienced this as well. It's like really beyond a certain point. I mean, money is definitely a tool, and I think it's an amazing tool,
Yeah,
especially if you're living in Colombia, man. But like, dude, quickly, it's like more is not cannot like it cannot be the only motivator because it's
yeah,
hard to really feel the utility of just absolutely more money. Like there are
yeah,
certain stages. I'm sure having 100 million is pretty crazy, but going from 100
sure.
million to a billion, what the hell's the difference? And so there's
Yeah,
certain stages, certain levels. I think making your first 100,000, big deal. First million, big deal. Imagine 10 million, it's probably a big deal as
yeah.
well. But yeah, at a certain point, I think you need deeper motivation than just making more money.
I mean,
Um,
one thing that I kind of one conclusion that I kind of came to after a bunch of self-reflection was that any strength that you have, I don't care what it is, it's your ability to make money, your fighting skills or ability to protect people, whatever it is.
yeah,
The only thing that gives that stuff meaning is helping others with it, helping
yeah,
people who are weaker and
yeah,
less advantaged than you are.
dude, absolutely. That's how we had this conversation, man. That's kind of the full circle loop.
Yeah,
It's a separate question, but it's like, well, how did I come to wanting to talk about this stuff and share it with other people? And I think the utility, and look, it's not like I'm the most successful land investor where I was a
sure.
freaking
Hmm.
trillionaire land investor, but I was a young
Yeah.
guy and had my needs met, had come from essentially nothing and had done pretty well, at least by
Hmm.
my standards. And I felt just like a deep hole in my life, honestly. And I kind of put these goals on a pedestal. I like had delayed gratification to get them, but assumed my life would be magical when it did happen. And like there's thresholds and tipping points where your life does get better.
Hmm.
But I hit that point. I'm like, I want to use this skill that I've developed to do something with it that allows me to work with other people and hopefully on some level help people. And that's what it's about. That's the honest truth. And I know people give this whole song and dance. Well, those who teach or those who can or some bullshit like that. I'm like, no, I
Yeah.
think teaching is actually a beautiful thing. I think it adds a lot of meaning and texture to one's life. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, we even see it on a microcosm, like folks inside of LIA when they're 6 months in or a year in or even beyond that, a lot of them want to pay it forward and give it back to other people. And I think that's just a natural human want. And I think it's
Hmm.
like, it's almost something that you need in your life, whether you're mentoring young kids or teaching people how to fight or just giving back what you've learned. I think it's just feels so good. Feels so good.
Yeah, and you're doing it. You're doing it. I mean, I've been, like I said, I've been in other education programs before, and I'm not going to name any names, but it's very clear to me when someone's just doing this so they can have more marketing money on the side or something, just to
Yeah,
have more
yeah,
and
yeah,
what you're doing, which is you're really getting deep into the weeds with us and trying
yeah.
to empower us in however way you can.
Appreciate that, man. I really do. Yeah, it's definitely it's a passion project. I always think like if it was all out just for performance and going further, it's probably a better idea just to do one thing. Frankly, I
Yeah.
think that's probably good advice for most people.
Hmm.
But there's more to the story. I just enjoy it.
Hmm.
What about any other questions? Could be business related or land related or just shooting the shit life stuff.
Um, I mean, where do you see yourself taking Leah? Because one thing I noticed, I mean, at least with some of the other, not just necessarily land, but a lot of times it's hard for people to balance what they're teaching. I mean,
Mhm.
their teachings with what they're doing. like a lot of people, I'm sure, you know, a lot of people in real estate, once they become that big guru, like that's their thing. They don't really
Yeah.
make money in real estate anymore. They
Yeah.
make money
Yeah.
teaching you their brand of how to make money in real estate.
I know. And look, I'm not here to knock that. I don't think that
Yeah.
it's for each person to decide what they want to do, but I think that is so common. And for me, there feels like a level of almost ethics with that. It doesn't feel right to be like, hey, here's this thing that I'm doing that's been so great, but I'm not going to do it anymore. You're going to do it. I'm going to teach you how to do it. That's going to be my main business. And so there have been times where the weight of juggling all the balls has definitely gotten to me. I'm like, God, it'd just be so much easier if I just chose one thing and just did one thing.
Yeah.
And I could never pick which one I would do necessarily, but the idea of not running a land business and doing this just feels so deeply disingenuous and kind of out of integrity for me that I couldn't do it. I'm not trying to judge other people that do that. Something about it just does not match up. And I also think that the truth is, like any industry, like what we're doing today, it might not be what we do 5 years from now. And so how am I ever supposed to know what the hell is going on if I don't do the thing? And we're not going to name names, but a lot of the classic educators out there, little secret, they don't run land businesses anymore. I mean, maybe they fund deals, but that's why a lot of the information they teach is just feels a little outdated to most. Now, in full candor, like no bullshit, full transparency, last year was really hard because I started this kind of as a passion project in 2022. And the start of January of 2023 last year, I don't know what happened, but something happened and it just went like, whoa, like really quick. And I wasn't really fully ready for it. And so this demanded a lot more of me than I was prepared for. And so our land business did take a hit. I mean, I was probably working in it 5 hours a week sometimes. I mean, maybe 10 hours max. And the business still hummed along. And like, thank God we had the right people in place and kind of built the infrastructure. But there were definitely times where I'm like, God, I feel like I'm such a failure in this department. But I knew it wasn't going to last forever. And I've kind of come out of that. We've got the right people in place on the LIA side to kind of give me some breathing room. But I did have that fear. I'm like, am I going to become that dude that doesn't do the thing and talks about the thing?
Yeah.
I just don't think I could ever let myself do it. So where I see myself taking the land business and LIA as well, the land business is not something that I want to grow exponentially. I always talk about this. I think it's a great 0 to 1 business. I don't want this to be my 1 to 10 business. I don't even know what that would be for me yet. It's a great, and you'll discover this on your own, and maybe you'll have a different view, but I think it's a great business model to go make 100K a month, 200K a month, 300K a month. But anything beyond that, it just becomes so difficult. Just a lot of moving parts. And like you see this with inventory-based businesses at scale, they just become messy. Like we don't have like supply chain problems per se, but we kind of do it in our own little way. It just becomes so convoluted. So I'm really happy doing 10 deals a month and just kind of coasting and not trying. We'll still grow, but not growth at all costs. Every year we'll probably do like 1 to 2 value add deals a quarter or something like that. One of the things that we are working on though, which will kind of slightly coincide with our business, is partner with Sumner.com. So we'll start kind of working on some additional value add deals with other people. So maybe the value add component will uptick a little bit. It's hard for me to say, but mainly like rural subdivides and things along those lines. And then the LIA side, it's kind of the same story. I mean, I think that like a coaching business becomes really difficult if you want to grow exponentially. And so I don't know if that's what I want to do here either. Then we have a cap of 15 people a month. I can't see ourselves lifting that anytime soon. So I'm just really happy to kind of continue on the path that we're going and try to have better and better experiences for the members. And look at, I mean, every quarter or so, the price has gone up. So it's kind of been our lever for growth opposed to just enrolling more and more people.
Yeah.
And there's so many other little things that I want to start, some of them that are related to land, some that are unrelated to land. Really, the thing that I'm very, very excited about right now is Land Insights. That to me has really kind of allowed me to, maybe you relate to this, but you know that feeling when you're starting a business and you're kind of love drunk on it, you're kind of intoxicated by the excitement and the rush of it. And you also have no fucking idea what you're doing. And you're such in deep waters and so out of your comfort zone. I always talk like it kind of feels like I'm blindfolded in a dark room trying to find the right door to open to find the right way to go. Yeah, I kind of of that problem solving and
Hmm.
a ton of creativity around land insights. As you've probably experienced, dude, there's so many problems to solve in land that are just so antiquated,
Yeah.
and it's just fun. That's probably like my biggest like creativity outlet. I also love making content. I really do, whether it's land related or not. One of the things that I want to
Mhm.
start doing is making documentaries.
Hmm.
That was a passion project. You know what I really want to do? I think it'll all kind of revolve around business, but I want to be that guy at the end of my life who has a resume where he was like, he was a fisherman, he was a line cook, he was a business owner, he was an astronaut. Like, he just
Yeah.
did all these different things for the hell of it and the experience.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Totally. You're well, with your personality, you'll never be out of ideas, clearly.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah,
Mhm.
blessing and a curse. I think that the
Sure.
real thing is just finding the discipline to stick with one thing. I think
Yeah.
that's also though, like we were talking about this in the coaching call last night, and that's kind of understanding what are your strengths and how can you play to your strengths and delegate the rest. I think my dream situation is to almost be like my own little private equity firm, but I don't buy businesses. I start businesses and then I hire CEOs or managers or operators. And
Hmm.
then I just every year I spin up a business or every couple of years and then just find amazing team members. And that's kind of what we've done in our land business. Like I'm still pretty hands off with it. There's still growing pains. I mean, it's hard to replicate yourself fully, but it's what I'm trying to figure out how to do. And that's that. I think that's like this is so tangential and all over the place, but I think that if there's a skill set that I'm most excited about
Hmm.
is how do I find amazing people? How do I find like incredible talent? And how do I somehow convince them to want to work together? And how do I create incentives to where people feel like they have a vehicle that can like take them to where they want to go? That's really what I really want to do. And that's where I find a lot of fulfillment in. So trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Dude, you don't have any nitty gritty land questions? All your land questions are answered?
I don't know. Hey, listen, I've been on your calls every week.
Yeah, I know you
I
have.
go on Ryland's calls. Um, I and every time I pick up a pebble and I put it
Yeah.
in my suitcase, and there's one pebble, one pebble, one pebble. I mean, I just have to do two things. I have to look for more markets. I have to send out more mail. Like
That's it.
I know that's my. I don't even want to call it a blind spot because I see it right there. It's like staring right
Yeah.
at me, and
Yeah.
it just it just takes discipline to do that. It's like you have to, it's like you're Napoleonic infantry or something. Like you just
Yeah.
keep moving in line, and once you get wasted and you just keep on going. Like
Yeah.
that's the way this works. So I mean, um I feel like a lot of people in this business, they kind of get real stuck in their heads and they're like, oh well, how do I do this to increase the yield, and like how should I package this? And I mean, I look at the people who are most successful at this and they just send out more mail. They
It's
know
so
how to
simple.
talk
I
to
know.
people on the phones, and they know the land. That's it.
Yeah.
There's those
Yeah.
three things.
I know. Sometimes I feel like such an idiot because people are like, what's the secret? And I was like, yeah, it's actually just more of the same. I have
Yeah.
a question for you though. This is a question I
Sure.
love asking people
Hmm.
that are entrepreneurial. What are you optimizing for? Like let's say you hit $1 million in your business consistently in the next whatever 12 to 24 months. Is
Hmm.
the path forward, hey, I like let's grow at any cost, or are you more focused on living a simple life or having like a lifestyle or a good lifestyle? Like what's most important to you?
So, I mean, so I have a good friend who he's actually a very successful entrepreneur as well, and he told me that there's a big difference between perfect and enough and good enough. And he said perfect is impossible to find.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna look at your bank account one day and go like, oh my god, yeah, now I am fulfilled and I am happy.
Yeah.
But good enough is what you make of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to scale my business to multiple six figures within the next year to 2 3 years. um and we'll see how I feel after that, because where I am right now is the problems I have right now are not the problems I might have then. Like I haven't
Yeah.
hired anyone or anything, and it's we'll have to see. But I mean, we part of the reason why we came to live in this country is obviously your burn rate is just lower here. Like
Yeah.
your burn rate in the U.S. is just can be incredibly high.
Ridiculous.
Like we came from Orange County, and
Yeah.
you're from San Diego, so you know.
Yeah.
So so, but then like with my personality, I'm like, okay, well, what can I do with that money then? Like, what can
Yeah.
I? How can I? What food can I eat that's better than the food I'm eating now? Like, maybe I can fly first class more or
Yeah.
something, and I can go to Europe and Asia more. Well, I would I would like to eventually get into. There are some causes here that my wife and I are involved in, and my wife and I were kind of different. Like she actually runs a coaching business as well. It's a relationship
Oh,
coaching
cool.
business. So
Sick. Okay.
she helps people by actually helping them. I mean, they pay
Yeah.
her, but she's like you. Like she's talking to people, she's
Yeah.
giving advice, giving insight, leading exercises, stuff like that. And that's her dharma. That's how she's helping the world. But me, I kind of know myself. Like I'm not really I can't do as much good that way. Like if I go help out the soup kitchen, I'm just scooping people a little bit of soup here and
Yeah.
there. But eventually, I would like to get into a lot of philanthropy here because there's a lot of poverty here. There's a lot of things there are a lot of problems here that we don't have in the
Yeah.
states, and that's my why in this
Yeah.
business. And and like you mentioned before, we're all put on this earth to do something, and
Yeah.
I think this business is my channel towards that. Like obviously,
Yeah.
I mean, there's some stuff that I want. Like I want to live a bountiful life. So I'm not some saint or something like that. I want to fly business class. I want to eat nice food. I want to
Yeah.
wear nice clothes, have nice houses. But after that, after I have enough, like I want to start building some other other things.
Yes. Dude, I think that the awareness around that's amazing. And I think that people act, I mean, some people act like having nice things or wanting nice things for yourself is somehow a sin or a bad thing. I think
Yeah,
we should all we should all want that. And I think we all deserve that. I mean, excess isn't good, but having the best of the best, I think is something that we all deserve. But anything beyond that, it's time to give. Like once your cup is overflowing, you need an outlet. I think a real why is something that's external from yourself. And it could be like you're saying through philanthropy and charities, or it could be from the work that you're literally doing. But you can have a huge fucking impact in this world, even if it's not directly related to your profession. It's like, what do you do with the consequences of your profession, and how do you go and direct your time or your money? And it doesn't even always have to be a money thing.
yeah,
Yeah, man, I think that's the name of the game. I think it's a why that's beyond just meeting your needs, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And you just first you got to kind of figure your stuff out, put your mask on, and then you can do it for others. I have a question. Maybe people that are watching this are interested. Just for context, if you wanted to live as frugally as possible as an expat in
uh-huh,
Medellin, but still stay alive, you're not like in like the absolute community. What is it?
uh-huh.
Community trace? Is that like kind of the crazy part,
Yeah,
or what
that's
used to be the
the
crazy part?
comunas, the
Yeah.
barrios. Yeah,
Yeah.
hmm,
Okay. You're not in the barrios, but you're like, you're in a safe spot. You're in an okay spot.
yeah.
How frugally could someone live as an expat in Medellin?
Um, I mean, I know people who are living here for like $800 a month.
That's crazy. All in.
Yeah, rent, food, and everything.
That's
I
crazy.
mean, there it's like Medellin's like a lot. It's like a lot of other cities in the world. There's if you eat on in Provenza, like the nice
Yeah.
street, you'll be paying U.S. prices. You're paying $12 for a gin and tonic or something
Yeah.
like that. But if you go a couple of miles out from there, a few miles in that direction where there's hardly any foreigners, then you can get like a nice meal for like $4 or something like
Yeah.
that. Or you
Yeah.
can just make your own food. So yeah, you don't need much here. But I mean, what I see most of the time here is people they come here and they know that, but they increase their expenses to U.S.
All right.
standards because they want that baller apartment.
Yeah.
They want the steak dinner every day. They want the
Yeah.
maid cleaning up their rooms and stuff. So I mean, that's just like if you're not aware that you can spend a lot of money here too.
You can. You can. Well, I mean, Yeah, you definitely would have to try, but you certainly could. It's kind of like the hedonic treadmill or whatever it's called.
Yep.
We were doing the math. So if we move to Bali, we get a really nice house, maybe on the beach or a block or two from the beach, probably in Canggu is the area or close to Canggu.
Hmm.
So nice house, cleaners that come once or twice a week, full-time cook, would have a driver, multiple motorcycles, whole
Hmm.
nine. It would
Yeah.
still cost less than just what our rent is just for a house in Las Vegas. And Las Vegas, by US standards, is still
It's
considered
not that
affordable.
high. Uh-huh.
Dude, Orange County or something, you can't live on 150 grand there. Even that's hard
Yeah.
to live on, you know.
Yeah.
I love the US. It's given me an immense opportunity. I'm definitely am patriotic. I'm very thankful to have grown up here. But also, we've been effing lied to. Like the quality of life in other countries is almost higher in every regard. I always tell people the one thing the US has is great infrastructure. The
Yeah.
roads are good. The trash pickup comes on time. You can trust the water. Your toilet's always going to flood. But everything else, man. I got really sick when I was in Bali. Got
Hmm.
really bad food poisoning for like a week. And
Hmm.
I had two doctors come over to the house like 8:30 at night.
Yeah.
They put me on this pure oxygen machine and made me feel amazing. They gave me like, I kid you not, it was one IV, but they put like 12 different bags of all these different substances in it. I felt like a superhuman after. I was instantly better.
Yeah.
Bro, it was $80 for them to come to me and do all that. I remember when I was in
Right.
La Jolla, I did a B
Yeah.
vitamin drip, and that was
Yeah.
$200. I did it at the office, and this was like
Yeah.
12 different variations. Or like we took an Uber to the airport, it was 80 cents, you know, and the Uber driver was amazing. We're talking,
Right.
we're laughing, we're hanging out. So the real
Yeah.
thing though about other countries, and you probably feel this in Colombia, I feel this pretty much in
Hmm.
every country I've gone to besides North America.
Hmm.
People are just fucking happy, man. People
Yeah.
are present. They want to connect with you, especially
Hmm.
if you're a foreigner. They're kind of excited to connect with you.
Hmm.
Here in America, I mean, I can't even get people to wave at me on the street or look at me. Everyone kind of looks away.
Yeah.
Everyone's stressed. I think people are just trying to survive, and it's hard to survive in America. There's a lot
Hmm.
of pressure in America to be somebody, to be an individual and an impressive person. And I think we've really eroded the mental health of this country. And I think I really feel it when I go to other places. And your environment is everything. That's why we're so gung ho to most likely leave the country.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that too. I mean, I was kind of stuck, even in my previous business, I was kind of stuck in that rat race.
Yeah.
Like where I mean, my dream just 3 years ago was I want a $2 million house in Orange County. I want
Yeah.
two Teslas. And I want two kids. And I want to send them to the best schools in California.
Nice.
Like that was my dream. But I'm
Yeah.
realizing now that that shit was just programmed into me,
Yeah.
like through my
Yeah.
family and society and stuff. And see, a lot of people, they don't think like us. Like you have an adventurous spirit. Like
Yeah.
I know some guys who are like, I don't want to move out of this town because they have my favorite craft beer in
Yeah.
the grocery store. And I'm like, what? Why do you no go somewhere else? But that's just the way most people think. Like they want
Yeah.
comfort and familiarity.
Yeah. Well, bro, we've also part of that conditioning is we've been conditioned to believe that other countries are inferior, that they're
Yeah.
dangerous, that the food's going to make you sick, like all these dumb things that just could not be any further from the truth. I was talking to someone on my team today. He lives in Pakistan. He had someone show up to his house and give him a haircut for $7, including the tip. And
Yeah.
all the US people on the team were like, bro, $7, you couldn't even leave that as a tip for a barber, and they're never going to
Right.
come to you.
Yeah.
And I just think that all corners of the world, I mean, quality of life is really high. Now, there's political instability, there's corruption, like there are bad things. But you know what? That same stuff is happening here. It just happens a little more behind the closed door that we don't see.
And on a bigger scale, actually.
At a bigger scale, man.
Yeah.
And I'm not a conspiracy
Bigger
theorist.
numbers.
I'm not even political.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's kind of like people are trying to wake up to the fact that, whoa, the US is fucking corrupt. Like really corrupt.
Yeah.
I feel like it's starting to kind of bubble up, and yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good thing though. I think it's bringing in awareness to the fact that other countries aren't bad, whether you want to live there or just be connected with the people. I mean, like I was saying, one of our team members is from Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
He came out and joined us in Bali.
Mm-hmm.
And even just all of the stupid conditioning that I had from the war on terror and the preconceived notions that I had about Pakistan that were so wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just been made to think that the world is something different than it really is. And that's a shame. So everyone listening, go travel, get out there. It's the best way you can spend your money, hands down. Well, man, I'm sure at some point I'll probably see you in Medellin. I'm sure I'll be back in the next year or two.
Yeah, I'll show you around. There's you probably saw one side of the city, but
Yes,
like
I'd
there's
love to, man.
so many sides of this country, and there's so many beautiful places and things to do, and yeah, I'd love to do
Yeah.
that. Mhm.
Dude, well, my thing is, I don't know if you ride motorcycles, but my favorite thing is I travel to places and I rent a motorcycle and I
Oh
drive
yeah.
around. If you
Hmm.
ride, I don't know, like a pro rider or anything, but I just think it's the most fun way to see a place is on a motorcycle.
Yeah, I'm
It's so raw.
unfortunately I'm not
Yeah.
scared of a lot of things, but I'm too chicken with motorcycles.
Yeah, the driving in Medellin is a little crazy. I've
Yeah,
seen crazier though. You should have seen the driving in Bali, man. It's on
yeah.
another level of craziness.
Hmm.
But dude, I appreciate you making the time. I know you've got commitments coming up here in a little bit. If someone wants to reach out to you or talk to you, they can find you in Discord. What's your Discord name? At just Preston.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I'm
At
here.
Preston.
Hmm.
We'll have to do this again, man. I know we're kind of on the precipice the wheel really getting in motion. But I
Hmm.
like having the before and after conversation. I did that with Anthony.
Sure.
Anthony Reese, we did a call a year ago. We just did a call a couple of days ago that'll go up on YouTube soon. So it's cool to kind of document the journey. And I appreciate you being open to it and making the time.
Of course. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah,
All right, brother.
I have full confidence because I mean I have the motivation, I have the right education right here, and it's just I just have to keep going. That's it.
That's it, man. Well, I'm impressed by your mentality. You've got the right mindset. I mean, I don't never want to say anything's a sure thing, but it's as close to a sure thing.
Yeah.
If you bring that level of thinking to this business and you think long term,
Hmm.
yeah, the cards are going to fall in your favor. It's just a matter of time. So appreciate it, brother. We'll talk soon. Okay.
All right.
See you, man.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching, everyone. Take care.